Actress Gwyneth Paltrow took the stand in a Park City courtroom on Friday to testify in a trial over a 2016 skiing crash in Utah. Paltrow is accused of crashing into Terry Sanderson, a 76-year-old retired optometrist, causing several serious injuries and then abandoning him while they were both skiing 7 years ago. Paltrow took the stand and was questioned by Sanderson's attorney, Kristen Van Orman. This trial has been nothing short of a spectacle, not only for her attitude on court, how every attorney is so cringe-worthy, and of course, her body language when she took the stand. Try to watch the following clip absorbing her body language signals and let your intuition tell you what's going on in here.
He struck me in the back. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, I know, but you said I can still watch my children ski.
Yes,
and he's
meaning
directly into my back by someone, which is what happened.
Yes, exactly.
What's the pending question? It sounds like they're saying the exact same thing.
What's the question?
The question is, you were watching your children ski when you were struck in the back.
So that's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Overruled?
I was skiing and looking downhill as you do, and I was skied directly into by Mr. Sanderson.
By the end of this video, you will be able to tell the difference between real signals of deception and the natural body language or the baseline of a person. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. I'm sure that the most important signal you noticed was her blinking rate. She had a higher than normal blinking rate, and that is usually related to deception. But as in any body language analysis, we have to stack signals until we can get to a solid conclusion. So her blinking rate could be produced by nervousness. She could be anxious, she could be upset reliving that moment. She could be upset that she's being sued by this man because we still don't know who is telling the truth here. Of course, you can imagine that most people are not going to watch her entire testimony, much less the entire trial. I watched her full testimony and noticed that yes, her blinking rate looks as if she wants to hide something. That is a natural first impression. But I also noticed that there's so many people biased in one way or another, and that's something that we have to address as well. As in, she's a celebrity, she's a spoiled star, she wants to get away with it, or some kind of argument that says that she's just another Hollywood actress who is using her power for her own gain. And one of the body language signals that might reinforce that perception is that gesture she does when she is smiling with her mouth shut, her mouth closed. It looks like a mocking gesture. It looks like she's mocking, I don't know, the attorneys, the judge, the jury. But in fact, it is part of her usual body language baseline. It is a way of smiling like you are a bit embarrassed. If I was one of her attorneys, I would have told her before entering the courtroom the first day all the ways that this trial could be affected by being broadcasted. And I am usually not a fan of practicing body language or trying to modify the way that you express words or express emotions. But in this case, it's important to make sure that your body language absolutely expresses what you want to say, what to convey. It's foolish by every standard that you are going to take the stand and pretend that you're going to be your authentic self and you just have to tell the truth. Because if you're going to pick the right words to tell the truth, don't you think you will pick the right body language to tell the truth as well? That makes sense, right? Now, this is when things get complicated, because if I was Gwyneth's attorney or body language consultant, the first thing that I would address is her resting face. And the problem is this, that face that you are looking at right now is pretty much part of Gwyneth's body language baseline. That is her regular expression. It's a problem maybe not in her daily life or maybe not on her TikToks or whatever, but in a courtroom, on a trial, regardless if it's being broadcasted, that is a big deal. That is absolutely a big deal. And again, I'm not a fan of saying, hey, you have to change your hand gestures. You have to use this kind of hand gestures. You have to change the way that you express emotions with your face, because in 99% of the time, it doesn't work. In these situations, we are nervous enough to be able to modify our facial expressions on the fly. But in Gwyneth's case, she's an accomplished actress, so it will be easier for her to just adopt her body language to something that doesn't look as condescending. And why do I say that this looks condescending? Well, her chin is a bit higher than the horizon, which projects a bit of arrogance. And arrogance is a no-no in any testimony. She's got these heavy eyelids, like her eyes are partially closed, and it gives her expression of, hey, I am above you. At the same time, she is raising her eyebrows, which usually should convey goodwill, but that's why you cannot pick separate parts of the face on their own. You have to watch them all at the same time. And realize that this is not the expression that you want to have, especially when you are in the recollection of events. I have to say that one of the signals that make me doubt of Gwyneth's statement is one that is almost missed at the end. When she displays that swallowing right after she says the last words of her statement, that is always a bit of nervousness, especially after the person has said something that compromises them or affects them emotionally. And my question is, if she is telling the truth and if she has practiced her testimony with her attorneys, why is she getting nervous? Now, in that regard, I don't think her attorneys made her practice her testimony or warn her in any way. And I'm not a specialist assessing attorneys, but you might agree with me that all the law professionals in this trial are all over the place. Now let's talk about smiles and why smiles are important. In this case, we have a snapshot of the moment when Gwyneth tries to smile or display a genuine smile. And no, it's not working. This will never be perceived as a genuine smile, and that's another problem because if you smile like this, you will instantly be perceived as untrustworthy. There is no way around it, and I'm not the one to claim that this is due to Botox or fillers or anything. I don't care about that. I don't care you have done something to your face, but if you don't smile, if you don't have full expressions with your face, you will be perceived as untrustworthy. There's no way and no question around that. In Gwyneth's case, it's even worse because we see the same signs of being condescending and patronizing as in previous picture. There's no way and no question around that. In Gwyneth's case, it's even worse because we see the same signs of being condescending and patronizing as in the previous picture. We see the raised eyebrows and the heavy eyelids and the eyes partially closed. How do we know that this doesn't look like a genuine smile? Just because it lacks the cheek's pressure on the eyes, and sadly, that's also part of Gwyneth's baseline. That is something that she should do on purpose. Make sure to contract those muscles in a way that she can convey this smile. And yeah, that is part of acting. No, I don't know when was the last time she got an acting gig, but I'm sure that she should use that expertise in moments like this. Again, not because you're trying to adapt your body language to the situation, is that you are lying or you are trying to fake something. Because if we adapt our words, we pick the best words to express what happened, then you want your words to be the best possible choice so there's no doubt about your innocence. Then that's why I don't understand how an acting professional like her doesn't understand how critical our facial expressions are to complement our words. Does it make sense to you? What do you think she's trying to accomplish here? Now, there are many details to this case that look like a cash grab on the plaintiff's side. The fact that he asked initially for $3 million and that lawsuit was dropped by the judge, and then he's asking for $300,000 now, and Gwyneth is countersuing for $1. It really looks like she wants to set the record straight because it would have been far easier and maybe cheaper to just settle out of court. There's also the fact that the plaintiff had a GoPro video recording of the event and that recording mysteriously disappeared. A recording would have been the perfect proof for his version of the events. Convenient, right? In my opinion, I think she is telling the truth, but her body language is not helping her. In fact, her body language is harming her odds at convincing the jurors. But the trial is still ongoing and we will be there to keep analyzing and taking a look at whatever happens from now on. Let me know what do you think about this in the comments. My body language buddies, remember to download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. Much love and bliss.